To introduce a conversation between three media powerhouses, led by Lynette Harrison Brubaker. I bet many of you already know Lynette. Lynette was introduced into our global wellness world through Jennifer Walsh, who is here today. Jennifer? There she is. Okay. Jennifer knew this would be a match made in heaven, and she was absolutely right. We're forever grateful to you. Lynette has spoken at our summits, media events, and introduced us to remarkable people doing remarkable things. Doctors, chefs, publishers, TV personalities, people of great influence in the wellness space. However, I think Lynette is the person of greatest influence herself. She's a journalist, publisher, brand builder, big brands, Jones Road, Alex Mill, many others. Lynette is that rare human being who's motivated by doing good in the world and a genuine connection to people. She also makes a lot of soup, and you can ask her for her recipes. I'm pleased and proud to be her friend. Lynette will introduce her very special guests, but first, the amazing Lynette Harrison Brubaker.
Thank you. Mwah. All right, I'm gonna let you guys. Hi, everybody. How you doing? Jen, where are you? I didn't see you. Jen Walsh. Ah, hello. How are you? Hi, everybody. So glad to be here, as always. Perfect timing for this panel because all of us in the audience are a testament that media is not dead. It is alive and well. It's just radically changed, right? And so that's what we are going to talk about today. And I have two people that I have worked with for years who have done those major pivots in changing how have we reinvented ourselves. We're all in a reinvention, are we not? Thank you. That's like what we do. So today we're going to talk about that, and we're going to stay on time because, you know, Nancy, the kindergarten teacher, like to keep it going up. Anyway, let me introduce my friends to you first. Godfrey-June, I bet many of you in this room know her, and if you don't know her in person, now you do because you know who she is, because she's a legend. She's been in the beauty industry for nearly 3 decades. She really has helped shape the conversation around beauty and wellness, and she continues to do that. You probably know her. She was the beauty director of Elle. She was at Lucky Magazine, and then she made the big leap. One of the first people I knew who, when people started discovering that brands themselves were media outlets, and she went to Goop as their first beauty director, right? Running content for Goop, which was fascinating. She was like one of the only people I knew who did it and spent many years there building that. Now, she has the most incredible Substack, which before you leave here today, subscribe to this Substack. It's called Godfrey's Guide. I dare you not to buy something every single week because it is so good. It is so good. Anyway, so welcome, Jean, you guys. Thank you. Okay, Sam Escobar, New York-based journalist. I first met Sam at Allure, actually, and who was at Allure for many, many years, and now is at the Daily Beast and running a new vertical within the Daily Beast called The Looker. Again, another thing, if you're not reading it now, leave here today and look at it immediately. It was started very recently, and if we don't think wellness has become mainstream and a part of every single thing we talk about. This is why, and Sam will talk about it more, but the Daily Beast has such an important stake in this through The Looker. So Sam, thank you for being here. So very exciting. Really exciting. All right, so I want to jump in really, really quickly on this because we have a lot to cover for you. So I want to start with just really asking both of you, like in lightning round, the biggest shift you've seen in media over the last, I was going to say 5 years, but I almost think it's like 2 years or 3 years. It's changed so much. So Jean, do you want to start?
It is very fast, and it's AI, undoubtedly.
Right.
It's changed, you know, the videos and photographs can be totally made up. That's completely changes the game. And writing, you know, it has become a tool that almost everybody, you know, good writing is available to everyone if you use AI right. And so those that's part of it. And then part of it in the last like a year, especially, is that it's so much harder to get information than it used to be out of the internet. You know, you
Yes.
Google something and you get, there's so much slop that finding what you want has actually become harder, not easier, which is weird, not expected.
100%. We have so much information. The need for more editors is never been more dire, actually. Sam, what do you think?
I mean, I was going to say, I think it's definitely AI, I feel like without a doubt. And I think also people looking for a human sort of element in everything now. Like something that we've noticed is, you know, with people see Google ads as being kind of untrustworthy in general a lot of the time. So a lot of people I know, they don't Google things anymore without adding Reddit at the end. And that's like very specifically, they will specifically add Reddit because they know that those results are not sponsored.
Right. Interesting.
And I find that so interesting because it's like, you know, like you were saying, it's people really want to actually get, to cut through the noise and actually get a human level of understanding of what someone's talking about, whether that's like a medication or a wellness trend or whatever.
Right. So cool. All right, Jean, so you and I actually grew up in sort of the very largely legacy media. Like I was at WWD, In Style, We were growing up at the same time. But you kind of saw where the puck was going before any of us did, I think, when you went to Goop. So what was it that led you to take that leap?
Well, a big reason why I took the leap was because the legacy media that I was in was the first, which was Lucky Magazine, was sort of the first women's fashion magazine to die.
First of all.
And it died a very epic crash. So part of it was that things really changed for me. You know, I didn't like sort of see out ahead, things are going to change. It was changing right in front of me. Then someone I'd worked with long before at Lucky, because I was at Lucky for its whole existence, was sort of employee number 2 at Goop, and they were building Goop, and they realized they wanted beauty, and they thought I was the right person. So that's how it
happened. I know. Many of us are forced into changing, right? I certainly was too. Like that was me, you know, moving out of In Style. Sam, you've really worked across editorial, digitally native platforms. You're working with a lot of influencers, which have also become a whole other editorial platform, and content creators. Many of us in this room, I'm sure, are working with them. I want to really ask you about, you know, the building of the Looker within a very large reach, well-known media platform like the Daily Beast. What was the thinking, the strategy?
Yeah, so I'm at the Daily Beast, which is historically known for its political coverage.
Right.
And if you look at our homepage, it's a lot of Trump. It's a lot of Trump, 79, doing things, and it's very different than what I've historically covered. I do think wellness and beauty are always going to interact in some ways with the political landscape. It's just inherent. But the thinking behind the Looker, which was launched with Joanna Coles, who's like a legend, you know, she ran Cosmo, is that people who care about politics also care about beauty and wellness and health. You can care about more than one thing. You know, I think anybody who's in media here has gotten the comment of like, why would you write about X when there's so much stuff going on? When it's like, well, you clicked on it, you read it, you are interested. You can care about more than one thing. And these are the things that we care so much about, helping people figure out what they want to do with their own money, time, energy. So the thinking behind the Looker is like, what is one thing you can do to transform your life or your day or, you know, whatever, your routine?
I love it. Joanna Coles is also another media legend, right? And I actually want to read what she said when this was launched, which is, the Daily Beast, long obsessed with power and politics, are expanding our curiosity to another battlefield, how we show up in the world, right? The Looker is our new style, beauty, and wellness site, the place where we talk about what it means to be seen and how to feel good about it, whatever that means. And I just thought it was so brilliantly done as it goes. Okay. Jean, in your Substack, I want to move into sort of the trends in beauty and wellness, which we've just heard, which are wonderful as well. I loved the one that was about like the dismissal of the anti-aging. these two are the OGs of dismissing that. That is not a trend. That has certainly happened a long time ago. Allure and Goop and Jones Road, all three of us are at brands who banned the words anti-aging, long ago. So I think that's really interesting. I want to cite Jean's Substack last week said the following, and it was about spas. The whole theme is called Spa Week. It says, spas are always about self-improvement. Their history is in weight loss, with their present focused on longevity and wellness. Every spa has to balance its guests' desires for regime versus freedom. Without structure, it's hard to change your habits, but without freedom, it's hard not to feel oppressed. Balancing these two essential yet opposite elements is the ultimate luxury. Say more. I put this up on my mirror. I was like, yes. And she talked about Rancho La Puerta as the best example of it. But
yeah, I was recently at Rancho La Puerta, and it really, if you've been to a number of spas, one of the things that often happens is either you feel FOMO, because you're like, well, I want to do the, yoga class and I want the sound bath, why are they at the same time? Am I doing the wrong one? And then on other spas, you don't have a choice at all. You're all doing this, and then you're all doing that, and you feel kind of oppressed. And so that was what I was. And at Rancho La Puerta, I was like, is it just that these people are like ninja schedulers? Like, there was something in that. And I was thinking about it. And I thought part of it is that like they'd schedule the hikes, the many options in hikes, all at the same time, and there'd be super easy one, super hard one, so that there's this sense of experiencing things together, but doing something that fits you. So it's a way of personalizing, and it's such a simple thing, scheduling. But I got into the Substack, how to bring. People are always trying to bring the spa home with, a body wash or whatever it is. But bringing the spa home is a bit about scheduling and like saying, okay, I'm going to do X at this time and X at that time. And there's a little less stress about, am I going to get it all done? Yeah.
So interesting. I want to talk about some of the stories that are in the Looker right now, too, and what makes them so interesting. So much of it about self-improvement, and not just for women, for men, too, because you have so many male readers. So these are some of the headlines. I got braces at 60 years old, and my smile has never looked better. I'm a man who had gynecomastia surgery. Do you know what that is? Like boobs, man boobs. And it's changed my life. Or baby Botox softened my lines without freezing my face. Why are these stories perfect for Daily Beast?
So one of the things that we really, really emphasize is like personal experiences. Also, this is the first place I've ever worked where it was 50-50 men and women in terms of audience. Like I've worked at Good Housekeeping and Bustle and Allure, and those are, they weigh heavily in terms of, or they skew heavily female in terms of audience. And so we really wanted to figure out a way to connect with, the readers that are already reading whatever coverage we're doing, in that reporting, who might not necessarily be already reading beauty or wellness blogs, but like on the sidebar, they might spot something that's about, something they can connect with. And having it be first person, I think it goes back to what I was saying about Reddit too, is like people want to hear a human being story. I spent many years doing SEO guides to things, and like I was saying, with Google the way it is, with ChatGPT the way it is, it's hard to rise to the top and get people to click on things like that. But they do care if a person is talking about their own experiences because they want to know what did they do, what worked for them, and what was their outcome.
Yeah, same. Do you feel the same way?
Oh yeah, that's I've always written first person, and I feel less unique than I once was.
Yeah, exactly. I want to pivot a little bit into this notion that we just talked about, which is that there's so much more content than there ever was, but then that also makes the need for really good editors, journalists, writers, like people like all of you in the room, more needed. Yet the floodgates are really open, and it's the Wild West, right? Especially with content creators. So, Sam, I really wanted to ask you about because, and a lot of these creators have a lot of trust with their audiences. They are being followed very, very closely. So, and sometimes closer to their audiences than maybe traditional editors were, right? So what are creators doing right that you think media has historically ignored in some way?
I mean, I think one of the things that creators are doing well, and also I would say a lot of former editors or current editors who are, doing things like Substack, is that they're connecting very directly with readers. I think, historically, like especially when I was growing up, I wouldn't know how to get a hold of somebody whose, article I was reading in, I don't know, like Teen Vogue or whatever. But it's, as I've gotten older, it's like it's so common to directly talk to readers, whether it's through social media or we have comment sections again, and that's pretty great. And I think being able to actually, say, I'm a real person, and do you have questions for me? It feels less sacred and less less scary to. We're much more approachable, I think, these days.
Agreed. Yeah, exactly. And do you think, and this is for either of you, and where do you feel that maybe creators are falling short in some places?
I think sometimes there is, and I won't point fingers. I would say a lot of TikTok stuff that I see gives me sadness. It's hard to watch some of those sort of things where people are kind of positing themselves as experts. Right. And this isn't all the time, but I do think sometimes there are a lot of content creators that will say, like, I'm an expert on X, Y, and Z, but it's like, well, what are your, what with what? What is your background? And I do think that has sort of, like, as time has gone on, a lot of audiences are getting more savvy. That's why I think dermatologists now have larger audiences than a lot of people who consider themselves like wellness experts that weren't necessarily like people who do tons of research, like the people in this room.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Hi, I see you. I hear somebody back there. Jean, editorial is a filter. Creators are doing filtering content too, and it's a safeguard. But do you think something has been lost as media has become more personality driven?
I don't think the problem is the personality-driven aspect. It's the lack of structure, that there's a financial structure that allows for editing and, in particular, fact-checking that just is gone and in most places. And that's the problem. I agree. Who wants to read an SEO roundup of,
Nobody.
The best facials or whatever? You want a person who went and tried it and said, I like this about it. We want people more than ever in this mechanized world.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for those of us that are at brands in this room, I'm sure you're all hiring creators. I think that's the important thing to be using as a brand filter, right? Which is, what do you want to say, the integrity of it? I certainly could say that for the brands I work on. Because some of these creators also have the power to actually either make products or completely break them too, so there's certainly been that in my experience too. So, to be pretty careful about that. So, all right, we only have like 4 minutes. So I want to do a lightning round from two aspects. One, we have a lot of brands in the audience. So I want to ask both of you from a pitching standpoint, like if you're being pitched all day long, what do brands or how do they need to sort of change up their way that their PR teams are pitching things? What's the difference between a pitch that gets opened and one that doesn't? Sam, do you want to go first on this one?
Yeah. Honestly, when I think about things that get honestly physically opened also is when I notice somebody has made really good efforts to do environmentally friendly packaging. I always put that in a little column and I make note of it. I know you're talking more about pitches, but
no.
But when something is filled with styrofoam, I also
that's a good point though, because we're all sending a lot of packages out, right? Those of us that are pitching beauty, it's really important.
Yes, yeah,
it's really important.
You can really tell when a brand has put that as something that they prioritize because it means they care about the earth and they care about their consumer and they care about
It's really smart, really smart. Jean, how about you?
Yeah, I would heartily agree with that. That the waste that goes into sort of promoting things can be really depressing. And now more than ever, the person, the creator or the editor is also the person who's disposing of all that stuff and opening it up.
Right.
Where maybe 10 years ago it was an assistant. Opening a pitch like an email, if it's personal, if it is not some weird cutesy concept, that's what makes the difference. If someone certainly when I was at Goop, when they're like, I like this about Goop, and I think we're aligned in this way, or with a Substack, I love this thing you said last week. Just personal.
Shows that you read the outlet, you understand the commonalities between them, and research too. Sometimes, if you have it, right?
Yeah.
That you can actually bucket behind that. If you guys were building a media team, like I have my own media team, what are the skill sets you'd be looking for in the people if you were building one for your own brand, which you are?
I definitely, like you were saying, fact checking. Somebody who can, because
Yeah.
unfortunately that's something that has been taken out a lot of media. But people who are very comfortable with doing that. People, honestly, somebody who's good at getting on the phone, because that is kind of been lost.
Don't you love getting a phone call? I disarm people, I think, because I pick up the phone, right? You do too. We always talk to each other, so.
Yeah, I would agree with those things. People with confidence in their own imagination. I think there's so much, like everybody's like data, and there's lots of data, and everybody can have it, and someone who's confident in their thoughts.
I love that. Confidence in your own imagination. Okay, we're going to turn it, and now it's going to be advice for all of you, writers, editors, media people in the room, right? Because again, if anybody's in transition, even if you're not, be ready, because you will be, at some point very, very soon, right? We've all gone through it. So what do you guys think one skill any editor, writer, person working in media must develop in the next year? Either one of you can start, it doesn't matter.
I mean, I'd sort of say what I just said, which is different as an editor or a writer, not writing this, the story you think everybody wants, but going, what is it that I am thinking about, really? What you are thinking about is more interesting than what you think other people are thinking about.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, like having your personality show through, almost everyone is funnier than they think they are, and I love hearing funny things in
That's so
somebody's
funny.
pitch.
That's so funny. And a media platform you're betting on for the future?
Substack and Reddit? Sorry, it's a tie.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm actually betting on Substack. And, I really hope that the New York Times sticks around, and the New Yorker, and I hope we have some objective truth that we can still fall back on.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I think if there's one thing this conversation makes very clear, is that the future of media is alive and well, and brands belong to executives who are authentic, trusted, adapt quickly to where the consumer is going. And Jean, Sam, I'm really so grateful to you guys for doing this, because you have to, follow them, read them. As I told you, Jean's Substack, it's so good. Godfrey's Guide, it's just so good. And to cut through the clutter of what you should read and what you have to read, these guys you have to read if you're in this business. Really, really. They're the real deal. So thank you so much.